Something similar. I think it's hunger and vision. If you have something just so tight on your focus in the future and you're hungry, nothing can stop you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Den. I'm happy to have a special guest on that's self-made, 30 years old, is having a birthday soon, but took a company from zero to over $1 million in revenue in the window business, installing windows. I want to welcome Sebastian Adolph, proud owner of Window Guardians in Bucks County. And Sebastian, welcome to the Den, my friend.
Thanks for that introduction, man. That was awesome.
When you do what you did, right, and we're going to talk about your story because it hasn't been an easy path for you.
It absolutely wasn't. Absolutely not.
And you grow a company from zero to over $1 million in revenue a year.
It's hard to believe.
And when I told you that it puts you in the top 1-2% of all businesses in America, you were shocked.
It fired me up, man. It's something that's very hard to believe, man. It just sometimes I wake up and I'm like, yeah, is this how it's really supposed to go?
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your journey, right?
Yes.
Clearly, you're good looking, you're built, you keep yourself in shape.
That's right.
No surprise, Sebastian lived in California. No shock there, right? I mean, right? Let's call it what it is. So, well, once I looked like you too when I was in my early 20s.
Still look like you look better than me, I feel.
I doubt that. But thank you. But here, let's jump into it. So living in California.
Yeah.
You were in the marketing department actually for NBC. You were actually just young guy starting your career. You love marketing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how it started. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to start a landscaping business. Just like every good parent, they forced me to go to college, so I did. So I went to psychology, loved psychology, because that's what I really like. I love psychology, how people think. But I realized at that time there really wasn't a business. So I went to business school because, okay, I want to start a business. But I couldn't handle the classes. I literally couldn't. Like, I was in special ed all my life. The math was just horrendous. So I literally went to the guidance counselor the next morning and I said, give me a major that doesn't have English and math. So they said media studies and communications. So that's the reason why I took it. But I developed a passion in it. I did a little bit of film work, but I feel like I developed a passion in it. It's just the type of person I am. You can always find the beauty in something.
It's funny, I was special ed my whole entire K through 12 and special ed probably in college. I cheated through college. People were like, man, why are you so blatant about it? I'm like, education's power if you love what you're learning about, right?
Yes.
But if you don't love what you're learning about, it's a nightmare. And that's why I try to explain to people, like,
I'm not a learner where you sit down and just listen. I believe it. I went to a Tony Robbins conference and he says, we've been taught to learn a wrong way. You don't sit and learn. You don't retain information. So that's the type of person I was.
I tell people, if you enjoy what you're doing and you want to do something, you'll learn it. I tell people, if people are like, oh, Lance, your grammar's terrible. No offense, don't give a shit about grammar. I don't. Yeah. That's not my. No one ever says, man, Lance Bachmann, you have the best grammar ever. Yeah. What they do say is, Lance Bachmann knows digital marketing very, very well.
Absolutely.
He knows that. So
I feel like we have something similar. I think it's hunger and vision. If you have something just so tight on your focus in the future and you're hungry, nothing can stop you.
So let's jump in here. You're living in California.
Yes.
How does Window Guardians come to life? What happens? Because I know your story is very similar to mine. You went down for the dirt nap. Is that correct?
Yes. What's the dirt nap?
You got fired.
Got fired. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So, it was very devastating, but now is the best thing that happened to me. But yeah, I went to school at Temple. They had a really good abroad program. I always wanted to go to LA, and I always wanted to work for a big corporation. So I did that. I got into NBC Universal, and I was working there for a year. And I was doing a great job, but my boss just didn't like me. The next day, he just comes up to me. He's like, hey, you're fired. Like, out of nowhere. It was a shock to everyone. And I was like, why? He just didn't give me an explanation, but...
Welcome to corporate America.
Yeah.
It's a boys club, girls club, whatever you want to call it. I say it to everybody.
Seriously.
And I was at the top of the channel there.
Yeah.
You have no security whatsoever. It's disgusting.
Yes. So I got fired, and... it was devastating. It was very embarrassing. Like, my parents are hardworking immigrants. They dream of their kids going to college and getting a big corporate job and, being happy, start a family. So very devastating. It was actually probably my darkest time because I'm in California. I'm realizing I'm away from family. Things are not going the way I intended. I had like the wrong dream as well. I started realizing, that guy that fired me did me a huge favor. But 2 days later, I get a phone call from one of the smartest business people I know, a family friend of ours. And he calls me in House, California. I was like, I just got fired. He's like, well, good. I was like, what do you mean good? He's like, I got a really good idea for you. He's like, we do windows. We know you do a good job. Your family are contractors. And I feel like you could start a really good business. So obviously he didn't say, oh yeah, let's do it. I had to really think about it. But the more I thought about it, the more I just got hungrier. And, I never really had a great mentor. And thank God with technology today and the internet, I watched Wolf of Wall Street. And I got really hung up on the character Jordan Belfort. And I started really doing research on him. And even though he did, terrible things, he still did a lot of amazing things. And that's what I took out of it. So I really started getting obsessed. He was kind of like my virtual mentor. Had him on the screens nonstop. And I just started planning the business, starting the name, figuring out my competition. So for 4 months I've been doing this. And I packed my bags and I moved back. Everyone's saying, what are you doing? Like, this is a big mistake. Parents are looking at me like I'm a failure. But that's kind of how it all started.
But your mom and your stepdad jumped in to help also, right?
Yes. So my family is, that's one of the reasons why I also wasn't loving California too much. If my family was in California, it'd be great. But I'm a family guy. It's families, what do they say? Blood is thicker than water, right?
All day long.
Yes. So they were helping me out and we started the business, and I'll tell you the first thing that happened. I go there to Philadelphia. I get the Window Guardian's name. I pay $300 to get the name. And then the guys at the factory call me like, hey, I got a lead for you. I'm like, okay, like, I don't even see your windows or anything. I have nothing. What do you mean you got a lead? He's like, do you want it or not? I was like, sure, I'll take it. So come to the factory, give you the window, I'll tell you a little about the window, and then you're gonna schedule an appointment, and good luck. So I go to the factory, I get the window, he tells me a little bit about the window. So there's so many things about this window, so I got to simplify it to the customer. So what are 3 major things that are good about this window? So I pick 3 things. I go to this house the next day, and long story short, I sold a job for $35,000. To this day, it's my second biggest sale. I called my mom, I called my stepdad, and I said I sold the job for $35,000, and they literally were silent. They couldn't comprehend what happened. They're like, oh, like 3,500. Like, no, like 35,000 is sold.
You have no truck, no tools,
nothing.
You just sold the job.
I sold the job, and thankfully, my stepdad is an excellent craftsman, so he did the job for me, and we made a lot of money that first deal, and I dumped all that back in the business, and then that was the start.
I met you 4 years ago when you started your business.
Yes.
You actually cold called us.
Yes.
And you came in, and
yes.
When I met you, you're a lot different than you are today. If you don't mind me saying that, like, you're a lot different.
I feel it, yeah, definitely.
You didn't have. You were good looking then. You're good looking now.
To be honest, yeah.
But you didn't have the confidence you have now.
No.
And you were very arrogant, and I remember meeting you.
Yeah.
But you were very respectful to me. You were very respectful to me. You were like,
be.
listen, I know who you are. I follow you on social media, Lance. He's like,
Yeah.
I just want you to help me grow my company.
Yes.
And you knew my backstory, which I was surprised, because
Yes.
some clients come here and they know my backstory,
Yeah.
and then some people have no clue who I am, which
Right.
I just find interesting.
Right.
But you were nervous to sign. Your stepdad was like, F this. Like,
Absolutely.
your stepdad wanted nothing to do with it.
Absolutely.
He was like, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
You were like, Dad, we're going here. We're
Yes.
going to do it. And talk about that experience, because it was a fun day to meet you, actually.
Yeah, it was an interesting time meeting you. Of course I did some research, because I actually did a lot of researching and looking for a great advertising agency. And I started realizing I'm actually a very picky person. And in business, I feel like that's great. Obviously, you need some type of balance. But I went through about 7 different agencies, and I sat with all of them, and it just didn't feel right. And then I looked you guys up, and then I just, I see the office, I see the awards you guys have, see the team, I feel the energy. So I knew, like, we could work something out. So that's kind of when it started. So, when we first met, it was an interesting conversation for sure.
I always say people has to be a fit for both, right? And you know that
Absolutely.
now more than ever.
Definitely.
4 years later, the ups and downs, because we're a vital part of your company, and people don't realize that, especially someone like you that comes from zero to now over $1 million, which I'm very proud of you.
It's crazy. Thank you.
You're constantly on the phone with my team, talking.
Yes.
And you text me and call me, but you
Yes.
kind of stay with them.
Yeah, for sure.
But the point being is, you are so confident now. Why, if you don't mind me asking? Because you are just a different human being than 4 years
Right.
ago.
I was kind of, I was working, I was struggling with that, as you know. And as much as you talk yourself up and motivate yourself, you got to stick with reality. I had nothing to show for it. And I just feel like me sticking with my vision and seeing it come alive day in and day out, you build confidence about it. And just seeing, just what you've been laying down and it coming to life, that's how I built my confidence, because I feel like I had something to show for now. I just feel like, look what's happening, it's working. I actually do have the set of skills. Like, I actually do have what it takes. And that's how I started building my confidence.
What was your biggest obstacle in growing your business over the last first year, second year? Like, to go from $0 to $1 million in 4 years in revenue for a service-based business, some people don't do that after 15, 20 years.
Right.
Like, I know, like, people like, Lance, you're crazy. You represent companies, as you know, do $500 million. I do. But the majority are small and mid-sized businesses that we represent here. And I meet people that literally are doing $500,000, $250,000, and they're 20 years in business. What was your biggest challenge to get over that hurdle to get to the $1 million? I'm sure we're going to talk about you just starting.
I would say there was three categories that I was really having trouble with. The beginning was obviously not believing in myself. I'm changing a totally different industry, don't know what I'm capable of. So dealing with that, like not really believing in myself, that was like the biggest first year struggle. And the second, third year was, I was working with my stepdad, as you know, and he's a guy that is one of the most hardworking people I know. He's a man of his word, but we're also very different. And, he's about 65, 64, he's slowing down and I'm ramping up. So it started conflicting. It really started conflicting, and he has to still keep his job because we didn't have quite enough installs for him to be fully busy.
Okay.
So, I'm upset because he's not working full time, but then I understand. And, we just started butting heads. My mom started getting involved, and it just started becoming a mess, and it was so unfortunate because I really respect my stepdad a lot, and he's a really great guy.
Never heard you say a bad word about him.
Yeah, and it was really tough. It started getting in the way. My sales kind of dipped, and I said, we need to do something about this. And it was a very tough conversation, and we kind of went over three options, like, the main option we came up with is he gets a comfortable percentage now, and he could focus on his retirement because he accomplished so many things. He was a top installer in a lot of different companies. So he's very happy, and then I could really run with my vision, because we had different visions as well. So that was also conflicting. So I had to do something because I know that we are trying to, really make a huge impact. And I really needed to be laser-like focused. So we came up with a great agreement, and our relationship has never been, better. And my mom is happy. So that was the second issue. And now our biggest issue, since we're growing so much, just quality control, just making sure our clients are happy. Installers are so hard to find these days. That is our biggest issue, finding guys that install, good guys that install. So good thing I'm in that realm of world, so we're always kind of finding people. But those are my three struggles: the confidence, the issue of the partnership, and then quality control.
And then let's talk about how you've grown over the last 4 years. Has digital marketing been your main push? Is there
absolutely?
Can you talk to us about that?
And not only just because I'm here because with your company and you have made such an impact on my business. Absolutely. Like I said, I was very picky, and I just knew you guys knew what you're doing. I know you have an amazing background. You started YellowPages.com, vice president of AT&T in sales. Like, I just knew from if you have the top head, that's that hungry, that motivated, that accomplishment, like I know that's going to trickle down. Pretty much you guys are my main service I use. And I was just blown away how much Google has an impact, how you guys knew how to, put us in backlinks, and whatever you guys do, that's everything. The hardest thing is bringing clients, and good thing we have a strong brand, but I needed traffic to go there. So obviously that is the lifeblood to our sales, Then you have to have good sales.
Where do the majority of your leads come from?
I would say Google, and some lead generation apps. Yeah.
Is Google number one by far?
Google number one by far. People going to our website, however you guys do it, and people giving us a call because we ask. We want to know where the leads are coming from, and then we find out where they're coming from. We dump more money, so that's why I'm dumping more money to you guys. So
you actually are, and you were actually a little nervous. You're like, let's go, though.
Yeah, yes. It's obviously very nervous. It's a big jump, but we're ready to take the leap.
What about social media? How has that impacted your business?
Social media, I feel like we don't get a lot of leads from there, but we get brand control. So people see us, and I feel like they don't do that phone call off social media, but it keeps clients, to have window guardians in their head. So I feel like that's been a really
almost
strong
like
push.
the best assisted conversion you could have.
Exactly.
And that's what I call people. It's like
Great way to
It's
put
like if anyone knows who Stockton was in the basketball. I'm not a sports guy, but I think he was like an assist king. I heard someone equate it to him. I'm like,
Right.
so I googled him. And he's like a little short dude, but
Right.
he was a great assist guy for
Exactly,
basketball. And I'm
exactly.
like, that's what assisted conversions are. You need that
Yes.
to win, and people don't realize that social media is going to get you some direct response. But the assistant just is so incredible.
Yes.
People don't realize that.
And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead if it's your next question, but what really helps separate you guys is just like every time, and you know I'm a picky person, so I nitpick. Every time I had an issue, I called you and you had time, and I know how busy you are. You had time to answer my phone calls. Any issue I had, you made sure it got mediated and fixed. And that is the biggest thing, and I've learned that from you. I literally... Anytime I have a client, there's in my mind I say there's something I'm going to make this. They're super unhappy. There's something I'm going to do to make them happy, and that's the attitude to have a really good business. And it's just the communication, your team, they're detail oriented. I think that is the biggest thing that really made me see that you guys are just a perfect match. And I don't need to blow you guys up because that's the truth.
And I appreciate you saying always being there, but I always say this to people, and it was funny. I'll tell you a true story and take this because I think you're single. You got a girlfriend now, right?
I'm single now.
You're still single. Okay, so, and before I met my wife, and I was starting my company like you, no different than you. I'm hungry. I'm still hungry. That's part of my problem. I think I work all the time.
Seriously, it's a problem.
But I was sitting there with this girl. I'll never forget, and she knows who I am because I'm still friends with her today. And I hate to put you on blast, but I'm not gonna say her name. Beautiful, nice girl. She's married now with 2 kids. Incredible person.
Awesome.
And I'm looking at my phone while we're at the dinner. And, I was friends with her, so, she knew. But, now we're on a date, right? Somehow I wind up turning to our friends to a date. And I'm like, all right, so we're on a date. And I'm going through my phone, and I'm responding to emails at dinner. And she's like, I got to tell you, that's so rude. And I remember my response. I didn't get mad. I just laughed because, I'm still trying to win the night, right?
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
I was like, listen, this is going to pay for our house, our children.
Stability.
I said, I can't just not respond. And I feel like I'm the most fortunate person in the world to have clients, so I'm going to treat you with the utmost respect. As long
Absolutely.
If you need my attention to a detail, it isn't that I shouldn't feel like I should want to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think a lot of business owners, as they grow and scale and have 100 plus employees, and they're like, that's the opposite. And I can only tell you, if you're doing that now, your customers will love you forever.
Yeah.
That's the biggest point. These people just forget about who makes them.
We have over 100 Google reviews now, and we don't have one unhappy client.
Think about that. I always talk to people about reviews. Why are reviews so important? Tell me why you think reviews are so important.
We're in a digital world now. People, don't really, word of mouth is very important, but when people look something up, where is it? It's online. You first have to pass, I call it, the digital, spectrum of them verifying you, and then they give you a call. And the reviews, and people are just so adamant because we really do an experience like nothing before, and people see those reviews and they see our names on there, so it just makes them comfortable. And I say it so that it's already half sold. If we have a strong brand and they see the reviews that are on there that are 5-star, it makes them comfortable to call, because you don't see that in construction. You really don't. There's some companies that are absolutely doing great, but in majority, I'll tell you what, you could fact check this. I'm not sure, but I heard it from multiple people. Last year in 2019, not only in construction but in the window business, they had the most complaints out of any industry in this country. So I
would be hard pressed to think that would be the locksmith and garage door industry, but I believe that's probably up there.
Definitely up there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because locksmith and garage door business is they're the two that are.
Yeah, but definitely construction, absolutely.
Of course.
The construction service industry.
Because the issue is and this is where I love about you. You treat it like, you remind me of some organizations I see that say, the service-based industries, we're professionals. We're not what that image is of the crack hanging out, the tool belt.
Exactly. Smoking cigarettes,
you're
boots,
always
dirty.
Clean cut. You're always shaved. You're always keeping yourself groomed. You're always dressed nice.
Thank you.
All your people are. That's part of your brand, your image.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me why that's so important to you?
Well, people are, visual. People have eyes, so, if you don't say anything to someone, when you're walking up to them, they're first going to do a scan. It's psychology. People look and they're just going to subconsciously think whatever they want of the person. Even though the realness doesn't matter about that, because it really matters what's in the heart. But it's a first impression, and sometimes when you make a bad first impression, people just are, sometimes judgmental, and they can't get that out of their head.
Let's talk about the psychology and why you believe in customer service so much. So we've got an opportunity, you use Jordan Belfort as an example, and most people were like, oh, cringe, Jordan Belfort is a dirtbag, right?
Right, exactly.
But I know what you're saying. He was a total piece of garbage by stealing and ripping people
Absolutely.
off. But some of his traits, when you talk about being able to sell, the hunger, the closing the gap,
Yes.
he mastered that. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
Anyone that said so. But you also mastered the window business. Now, I've seen you, you've done your research on your competition when I talked to you. Yeah, you said to me, I want to be the opposite of window wizards.
Yes.
Point blank when I met you. You knew they were my ex-client. You knew the Goodmans were, and I helped build their company, and then they had the big scam. When I met you,
Right.
you said, this is who I want to be their size,
Yes.
but I don't want to be them.
Exactly.
Can you kind of explain that? Because I think that was unique, and most people don't understand that. For such a
Right.
young guy, you have that separation.
I think growing up in construction, I just seen so many people get ripped off, and I see so many people just lying. I just been around it. My real dad's in construction, my stepdad, these manufacturing guys. I've just been always around it, and I've just always got this stigma that here people get ripped off nonstop. Once they do a job, they don't come back. And I realized, wow. And then especially, you hear all these, horrible reviews of the construction industry. I said this: what are the three biggest problems? That's number one. The next biggest problem is there's no loyalty or trust. And the next one is there's lack of good installers. Guys that just do windows, or whatever you do, roofs or siding, guys that just do windows, because these guys seen every problem day in and day out. So I made the three biggest weaknesses in our industry are three pillars in our company. That this is who we are, and this is what we do, because I'm not just, the money's great, but it's about giving back to your community, and you're solving a real issue. So that's why I realized it's so important. I just felt like I'm doing an impact. I feel like I'm revolutionizing the industry.
Now, you're young. I mean, me and you talk. We have several views that are the same and some that are total on the opposite spectrum, right? I'm 47, you're 30. I mean, you're going to have that. You're my son Andrew's age. You take your employees kind of like I do as family. You believe in treating them good. You believe in helping them out. That's not common in your generation.
Definitely not.
It's not. It's actually, especially for a young boss. I hate to say it. You're a young. Yeah. I never consider myself the boss of anyone here. I actually work for all these people. And
Same.
But you seem to have no ego when you're around your employees. You seem to actually elevate them. Can you talk to me about that? That's so important.
To start that, my motto is, if something goes wrong, it's my fault. If something goes right, it's because of my employees. So I really always take the blunt of things. If something happens, no matter what it is, a guy's not getting sales, I don't blame him. I'm saying, what could we do to, I must miss something. I should have trained him harder and whatnot. So the culture in our company is one of the most important things. And it's just something that I kind of developed, I feel, naturally. My mom was in Mary Kay, which was a really good cosmetic company, where she went to seminars nonstop, motivation. So I feel when you're 0 to 7 years old, your brain is like a sponge, they say. And I was around that when my mom was at that peak. So I nonstop heard motivation, nonstop, day in, day out. And then, I don't know, just kind of naturally, I just when I hire people, I always ask them, what are your dreams and aspirations? And that's your question. It's, not a trick question as you want to work for Window Guardians all the time, but I generally want to know what their dreams and aspirations are, because we're people, we want to have fulfilling lives, So I really focus on that, and then everyone in our team knows what our dreams are, aspirations, and then we literally build each other up nonstop. Being optimistic is important, but it's always good to be level grounded. So like Michael Jordan won the championship, next morning is practice. It's great, but he's next. So that's the kind of mentality we have. So very motivational, always helping each other out. If I sense a sense of ego, or someone's jealous because this guy's making sales, we snip that right in the butt.
Nip that. Now let's talk about that. You've grown from 0 to $1 million in 4 years. That's, most people can never even fathom that. And you're 30 years old. And do you think you would have done that? Clearly it was your vision. Clearly it's your ideal. Clearly you're leading the path. Do you truly believe you could hit those numbers without doing digital marketing?
I hate to say absolutely not, But it would be a one hell of a road if it wasn't. We would have to door knock nonstop, and that takes a lot of manpower. It takes a lot of tenacity to be knocking on doors. I feel like we'll get close, but I don't feel like we'll hit that mark. I feel like it's very, very, very important. Even though I hate to say never,
Listen, it's being honest. There's nothing. Listen, I tell people this all the time. They say, "Why do your company keeps growing?" Because I keep doing what I say I do for my customers. I keep doing digital marketing.
Right. Right.
We don't cold call.
Yeah.
I've never made a cold call here since after the first year. I started my business cold calling.
Right.
Never did it again.
Yeah.
So
I always say
there's no shame in saying what gets you there, because these viewers got a choice. Do they go do what Sebastian does and follow Sebastian, someone that clearly got there, or do they go do the opposite and maybe fail?
Right.
There's no ego in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think the three most important, biggest things is marketing, which we obviously have, and partnering with you has just been honestly a dream. It's awesome that you got to have me here. I'm really excited. Then sales. You got to have people all day long, but you don't have and ours, like, your people are trusting you with thousands of dollars to go in their homes. Like, you have to have good salespeople and trustworthy. And I always tell my salesmen, we don't go for the money, we go to give value. The money will come.
100%.
The money will come.
People buy people.
Yeah, and
people don't buy. I mean, some people are just price driven, and they're normally going to be a nightmare anyway as a client. So that's who you don't want to deal with anyway.
Yes.
But people buy people, and it's not, you don't have to be a salesperson.
I take the word salesperson out. I'm like, you're not a salesperson.
You just be a good person.
Just be, exactly.
My wife always says, just be kind. Like, she's got me into that. Like, over the last
true.
9 years, like, just be kind. And she's definitely made me a better person. But you're really not a salesperson if you're just kind and you're trying to do the right thing.
And then the third thing is, because in the beginning, I was always scared to give my ideas. I didn't want to share anything. I was very, but I don't feel like that's good. I feel like you have to talk about your ideas. You get feedback because, okay, someone steals an idea, a company takes my idea, but innovation is the third biggest part. Because, okay, they get my idea, I'm already on to the next. So
100%.
Marketing, sales, and innovation, that's what we go by as well.
And I appreciate you being on here. And I agree.
It's a privilege.
And I love the fact you were so honest. And congrats on all your success.
Thank you so much.
But on the final roar, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
So there's a 25-year-old, 30-year-old guy out there being fired right now, or female, lost their job.
Yep.
We're in the middle of a pandemic, whether people call it a scamdemic, pandemic, whatever your beliefs are, is your beliefs. But we're here.
Right.
Some things are closed. Well, we're in a state that's closed. A lot of crap is closed, right?
It's crazy.
You're having your best months ever right now, right?
Yes.
Best sales months ever.
Absolutely crushing it.
What would you say to that young entrepreneur that's watching this
Right.
and saying, you know what, Lance, you're not who I want to be, because I don't like digital marketing, right? Really, the way I made my money has been digital marketing and real estate.
Yep.
But I want to be like Sebastian and go into the construction world. What would you say to that young entrepreneur,
Right.
male or female?
And not necessarily if people want to go to construction, but it's about, a lot of people go for their dreams, and that is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But getting money is getting harder. So I feel like a lot of young kids go for their dreams, and, they're working 10, 20 years because their dreams are so big, and I love that. And it's, it's a dime a dozen getting to where you want to be. So I think what happened with me was I was resourceful. It's not about the resources you have. I was resourceful. I had the window manufacturers. I grew up with them. I had contractors in my whole realm. I went through marketing. So I say to people, your viewers, is be resourceful. See what you have. See what kind of value you could bring. See if there's a problem, because, money's important right now. And then if you have your money and you grow your wealth, then you could follow your passion 10 times easier. You have the money to pay for the thing, pay for the office, whatever you want to do. And, eventually I want to be, I want to do something with kind of like coaching or something like that. So I know eventually that the money that we're, ranking at Window Guardians, I could eventually really do my, my dream. And then the last thing I would say is just mindset. Like, be careful what thoughts are going in your head. You know what I mean? Like, everyone thinks, oh, it is what it is. It's not. It's what you think of it, what it is.
Especially, I want to add to that, if you don't mind, hanging with the wrong people.
Absolutely.
Weak people make weak people. And I said it all the time.
Yeah.
Weak people and strong people make strong people.
They say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Thank God that's not true for me, because, you know what I mean? But no, and not saying anything about my friends. I didn't grow up with the best friends. Some good, some bad.
For
I have some great people, but I definitely hung out with some of the wrong people, and I got lucky. But I think there's never too late to change. But I think when you... Listen, someone said to me, I want you successful, but not more successful than me. And I was blown away. They were so honest, and I blew that person by. And I don't talk to that person anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're jealous. You want to surround yourself with people that want to see you have all the success in the world. I hope everyone blows by me.
People want to see you do good, but never better than them.
Well, it's funny because people say to me, someone actually said a really nice compliment. She was a friend of mine from years ago. She reached out to me on Facebook, Instagram. She said, "You're going to be bigger than Grant Cardone, Lance, I'm telling you." And I started laughing. I said, "I don't want to be." And she said, "Why?" She goes, "You don't want jet set money?" And people ask me that all the time. I said, "No, I want family money."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" And she LOL'd me. I said, "I just want to be with my family. I don't need to have a private jet. I don't want to give away my time with my family to work the extra 4 hours at night." So it's priorities, right? You got to do what's best for you. So that mindset is so important. Because it's very easy to get sucked in when you're making money.
Yes.
To start saying, "I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not." Yeah. I see how people do it, and I always say this to everyone. Steve Jobs is considered probably one of the best innovative creators, worth so much money, but he died alone.
Yeah, he did. He was just so obsessed, So I always say...
So it's what you want, right? So I don't know what happens after here.
Right. So I always say, too, just to elaborate on that, it is not about the goal. Like, everyone thinks, I'm going to get this and be happy, because that last 5 minutes, maybe a day. It's about the journey, man. It's about just knowing that you're growing, you're building people, you're adding to your community. It's about the journey. Don't be focused on the goals. Be proud of where you are. Embrace your struggles.
And you're not going to be happy. The problem is if you are a true entrepreneur, you set the bar here, you get there, you're not happy.
Nope.
It moves again. You set the bar here, you're not happy, it moves again. I've never had a goal I haven't achieved yet in business and said that's it.
Right.
Like people, and
it just doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop. And that's the problem. But I appreciate you being on. Everybody, Sebastian, Winterguardians, great company, self-made, gets fired, picks himself up, flies home from California, never installed a window in his life, from zero to over $1 million a year, having his best months ever right now. Congratulations on all your success, Sebastian, to you and your team. It's a testament of what you can do if you want to win.
And thank you to One SEO, man.
Thank you,
man. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachmann on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachmann Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.